Hey team, how we going? It is Kaz here. Let us know, is there volume? There should be, by the look of it. It's great to be here tonight. We've had a lot of bad news in the last few days for some of our cool members. And we're going to change the subject up a little bit today because this is directly tied to your task, purpose and mission. And this is James we'll be listening to tonight. I'm going to get to you now in the comments, but then what we're going to do is we're going to extrapolate this 10-minute video so that you can ask yourself, where am I at the moment in life? What can I do about it? And stop yourself from sliding into an abyss where you do not have any purpose, method, end state for what you want life to look like. Go to sleep at 18, wake up at 50. We've got a bunch of questions to ask you so we can get those parameters down. And let's get to the comments and see where you are. Guys, you cannot put a comment in unless you actually are a subscriber of any duration. So subscribe to the channel, tick the notification button so you don't miss out on anything, and then come and join this fantastic channel where you can either come for me or come for the actual crowd of the people here that do have task, purpose and method. Okay, we've got Cameron. G'day, great to see you here, Cam. I was off on another call when you rang today, so I couldn't speak to you, but I'll be able to speak to you tomorrow, and the wheels of the bus go round and round for you. 77, what happened, mate? If you're not 15 minutes early, you're 15 minutes late. Well, basically, we're just making sure the sound was working. I spend way too much time on thumbnails, back screens, etc. Let's put the back of this off for 2 seconds. You know, this guy loves your mum. This is the face of happiness. Looks like maybe a Ronaldo sort of looking guy. There's always a message in everything I write there, team. Lightfoot, how you go, mate? Competition between Tofferfield, Kaz. I don't even know what that means. Also, how does 15 minutes early turn into 15 minutes late? I don't know what you're talking about there either. Cam, if you're not early in the military, then you're considered late. If you're not 15 minutes early, you're already considered late. That's just the way it is. Remember, you can go to jail for being late in the military. There's no excuse for it. There's only excuse in civilian life for being lazy, tardiness, etc. Where's Geordie? Good afternoon. G'day, mate. How you going? How's Rocky going? How you feeling out of 10 at the moment, mate? Lighty. We've got Jake. G'day, Kaz from DFSS. I hope you're doing well, mate. Mate, I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing pretty well, to tell you the truth. I've had some good conversations today. Had a little bit of a rant, so to speak, to one of our good guys named Jace over in Western Australia. And, yeah, I'm back onto even keel again. Pretty happy. Good evening, Kaz. How are we going? Noah, thank you for what you did for the animals. Great chat the other day. We're not talking about the kettle tonight, but that's a sneak message there to Noah. But everything's good, mate. How are you? Much respect for all who serve. Thanks, Joey. And I agree there. I respect all those that serve because it takes a lot of moxie to actually put your name down, follow through, don't quit, and then put your family name on the line. And it's not about, especially with the Australian Army, it's not about joining up to go to war, so to speak. We train for war, not for disasters. Or our focus should always be for training for war, not for disasters. But when people go there, the task, mission, purpose that we talk about all the time, a sense of legacy, of stoicism, about belonging to something that is greater and bigger than you. That is the most important thing. Most people don't know what that means until they have a child. Once you have a child, poof, your whole world changes. All of a sudden, there is something that you love more than your own life. And it's a great feeling. Feels like a curse, but it's great. And the military is the same. It's never about the individual, right? And that's what we're going to be speaking about tonight. Good evening, cousin, everyone. G'day, Duffy. How you going, mate? Wesley, great name right there. How you going, Wes? We haven't spoken for a while. We should have a chat the next day or so. We've got Jake here. It has been a while since we chatted. Just wanted to say I appreciate all your help through the enlistment process. Mate, it's fantastic to be part of it. You know, it can be frustrating, you know, on the channel. I talk every single day. For those that don't know, I've spoken to more than 10,000 people now over the last 10 years. We've got Kirsten there. G'day, Kirsten. How you going? right hand salute with no hat on. That's illegal. Many people that are in the chat are people that have been civilians when I started talking to them, have already had their entire 4-year career commitment, return of service obligation, and are now in their free time, open-ended enlistment, and I'm still talking to them now. That's how long I've been rocking the mic for. The only problem is most people I never hear about again after they successfully actually get to the finish line and they're into their career. Sometimes they come back, but yeah. We've even got a new qualified pilot in the Air Force. He went from 140 kilos, lost 40 kilos in 8 months, and now he's in the military, fully qualified in the Air Force as a pilot. To him and his lovely family, he's also met a woman and had 2 children, all since I knew him as a civilian. You live for the hot kettle. I live for it. No, I don't. And Cam's going well. That's good to see. We're going to have a look at this video in a second, but I've got some questions for you because it's important. What we're going to be speaking to tonight, other than this guy who loves your mum, bam, is going to be this fella, James. Now, I found this today, and it was just after I'd seen a video about the male loneliness epidemic that is occurring in today's society. Men are not to be meant to be in an office, not as an officer, not as a profession. It's just not what you're meant to do. You're meant to be outdoors until your bones hurt, and then you get closer to the fire and give advice to the young ones, and it continues on from there. And as we go, we make mistakes. The bones repair themselves stronger. We don't make the mistake again, and we get on with our lives. And then one day tell the people before us, don't make the same mistakes I did. And it doesn't make you dummy for making a mistake. It makes you dummy if you make the mistake twice. But there's an obligation for older people to pass on knowledge to younger people so you don't do exactly what this says. I'm 40, spectacles of wisdom. I wasted my life. Don't make the same mistake. So we're going to listen to James. I'm about to turn 55 on Anzac Day, which means when I turn 55, I'm now closer to 60 than what I am to 50. And I'm telling you now, if you want to know what a horror story looks like, don't look for Nosferatu in bloody Netflix. Go and have a look at online dating for over 50. Jesus. Anyway, some questions for you is how old are you at the moment? How old are you? How much time do we have to play with? Well, another one. Do you know what your net worth is? It's interesting to have an understanding of what your net worth is. How do you figure that out? How much do you own if you took away all your liabilities? Do you have a net worth at all? Some people don't. Do you have a selfish hobby that you can do when you want to zone out, time out? Not like James here's got Fortnite in the background, which is fantastic, to take your mind off the world. But if you sit there long enough, there's no ending to it, which means it's a sedentary lifestyle. And what's going to happen is the world will close in around you. You'll go to bed, you wake up 50 years old, full of regrets, no options. So a selfish hobby, you've got to have one. What's mine? I love history. And at the moment, I paint Roman miniatures, so that I can create, something for my future that never really has a finish as well. And I listen to podcasts while I do that. It's fantastic. Mission, task, and purpose. Do you have one? Right? Plus, what are you proud of about yourself? Is it your fitness? Is it your friends? Is there a such thing as deep friendship and connection outside the military? Have you been through an arduous activity with your friends that mean that you can trust them? That they're not just people that are running in the same current as you occasionally. So it gives you while it's just around alcohol, sports events, etc. Take that away. What do you got? Will they be there when your chips are down? Military, it gives you everything, absolutely everything. And I'm lucky that I accidentally stumbled on all the benefits of being in the military and a military career, even though I've got Crohn's disease and a bunch of other little weird things. I'm still as happy as a pig in shit. My daughter's healthy. She's happy. I've got a hobby. I've had a mission and purpose. I talk to excellent people every day. The link is below if you need one-on-one counselling, conversations, etc. And So I've always got something to do, somewhere to be, and it stops me from just sitting idle, achieving nothing. So I appreciate you guys for that. Wannabe Dougie, there he is. Hey, Kaz, glad to catch up for another stream. Great to have you, Dougie. We were just talking about you, my friend. You know, I don't know if anyone of our channel has achieved more than you in the last 6 years, mate. Very, very proud of you and proud to know you. Jake, g'day, Kaz. How you doing? I'm going well, my man. I'm going well. Jack, hey, mate, I'm going to Kapuka soon. Any thoughts as a combat engineer role? It's one of the best. It is one of the best roles in the military, but I believe it's one of the hardest working. Someone just asked, are they Triarii? No. They're a mixture of the Principe Hastati and also Triarii with the longer spears. We've also got some Velides here, all right? And they're like your scouts team. You know? Boom. But now I've got to do the basing for more than 200 models that represent the Black Legion. I've got the Triarii over behind me. Little Kai might be a big brother, Kaz. Well, it's not mine. It's not my fault. All right. Hood handler. Hey, Kaz, pass my PFA. Glad to hear it. You know, no sex for you if you didn't. Thanks to your beep test advice, just waiting for my Kapuka date. A lot of people are waiting for their Kapuka date, mate. But you'll be good to go. Let's get into this 10-minute video so you can see where we're coming from and why this is so important, because the dilemma that's happening today is men and women have never been more different. Women have never been more alienated from men in this world. You know, if you're one of the guys that looks like Chris Hemsworth, you're probably doing pretty well because every single girl's after you. But at the moment, it's not necessarily about the dating game. What it means is compatibility. There's never been a time in probably society where the majority of women are leaning deep left, while at the same time, conservatively, men are leaning deep right, or at least around logic, you know, and what would we say? About the state, so to speak, because, you know, we're in a bit of trouble at the moment, aren't we? When the chips fly, the men have to save the village again. But what happens is when men and women come together, you know, as soon as a guy has the conversation, because we're the chaser, and we actually mention anything about the way we tick, our value system, whatever, it seems to clash with the female brain and psyche, then all of a sudden, either one, it's not going to work out, there's a clash, you know, or, you know, the guy can end up feeling like he's a lesser version of himself. And that's why I hate feminism, because I see so many of my friends become a shadow of himself, a mouthpiece of their partner, because they're so scared of doing something wrong, you know, and they're sustaining themselves and living off a Scooby snack, you know, and keeping out of the doghouse. All right, so they've got to continually look for distractions and things that they can do to keep themselves sane. Let's have a look what's going on. Well, hopefully the sound goes well here. Jake says, hey, Kaz, thinking about going armoured corps. Fantastic. I love armoured corps or infantry. What would you recommend? Jake, if you are over 25, I would say go to armoured corps. If you were younger than 25, I'd say to go to infantry, and I'll explain that in a minute. Hey, Klitz, how you going, mate? Noah, Jake, how are you? Let's see if this goes and we actually hear what's happening. I'm going to let most of this play out without interrupting this fellow. You know, his name is James. Dad mode in dark mode. You know, so I'm 40, wasted my life. Don't make the same mistake. So he's giving you a cautionary tale. Don't do what he did. And if you're listening to this and you think to yourself, oh shit, that's exactly what I'm doing at the moment, we need to shake you out to get you out of it. I'm 15. You're fine, Jake. You're okay. You got time. The best thing you can do is sometimes listening to these sort of channels so that you can understand your relationship with finances, that alcohol is not your friend, you know, that travel is the true education on the world, on history, on geography, on culture, on people. As a matter of fact, that I intend on going to China just because I don't want to continually talk bad about the red corn chip without actually going there and seeing for myself. Mr. Buckaroony, servant of the nation. He's been a cop. He's been a soldier for over 20 years. He's been a prison guard. Now he's retired. This guy's all over it. Mr. Buckaroony, he's got his own channel. Check it out. Military guy, but he speaks about life as well, and also positive. He does things for charity. He loves animal shelters, etc. We've got Jenny G there. G'day, Jen. How you going, mate? Hope you're going well in Mackay. Let's see what James has got to say. 37. There you go. You're in 37 is actually the middle of your life, mate. You know, you're the middle of your life. The life expectancy for people is 74. It's not 100. So don't get it mixed up. Let's go.
I'm 40 and...
Oops. I'll just fix this so I can hear it too, team. I deserve to hear the wisdom of James.
And I wasted my life.
Let's get back to start.
I'm 40 and I wasted my life.
Just let us know if you could. Did you hear that? How was the volume? How was the volume? Hopefully it was fine. Can we get a thumbs up or a yes, it was good? James deserves some attention here. And what a brave guy he is. I think he's trying to make a life for himself as a YouTuber. And he's got a hell of a lot of views on this. He's got double the amount of subscribers we have. So he's done really well. Okay, it's good. That's good. Let's go to the start and listen to James.
I've got nothing. I'm 40 and I wasted my life. I've got nothing to show for it. No house, no savings, no career that I'm proud of. I'm pouring everything that I have into this channel because I've got nothing else. And if you're in your 20s or even your early 30s and you think you've got time, I'm telling you right now, you don't. I wish I had someone in my life when I was younger, someone who actually cared enough about me and was smart enough to show me how life really worked.
This is what we're doing right now, team. I told you I wasn't going to stop this, but it's important. What he said is fantastic. And I'm coming to this fairly blind as well. If you think that you have time at 37, you don't. Compound interest, team. Lucky for Cam, he's got a lovely family. You know, but compound interest, you know, if you do the right things at the start, it compounds your success, that builds on itself, and then you get to retire younger. The Western world is in a problem at the moment. We've got South Korea in a position where it is so hard for a man to get a woman over there that their replacement numbers at the moment is below, I think, 0.72 when it's meant to be 2.2. So the understanding is that their population of over 51 million at the moment, within 75 years, will be down to around 16 to 20 million. So that means that when you have a larger number of older people than younger people, your actual society collapses because you don't have the network to look after the young when they become old. It's pretty scary shit. This guy, I like his honesty.
How women really operated and what I actually needed to focus on. I didn't have that. I was getting all of my ideas about love and success and women from movies and idiots my own age who didn't know anything at all. So there was no sense of urgency, no perspective, just vibes and dumb plans and this fantasy that everything would somehow work itself out. And it didn't. In my 20s, I thought I was, super deep and cool. And, because I had tattoos and, I knew some obscure bands and played drums. And I thought being different was a personality. I wasn't building anything real. I was just chasing sex and novelty, hooking up with women because I was addicted to the high, not the connection, just the rush.
Here's a question to ask you at the moment because it's topical. Put a thumbs up if you believe that you go out and that you drink too much and put too much resources towards vice. Now, just be honest with yourself because that's the key way to change things. If you chase enough pleasures, eventually you're going to stand on a landmine, whether that be an unwanted pregnancy with what was meant to be a one night stand that you meet out the back of a club and tell her to get to the Uber before you. Um, Guys, if you drink too much and you're a sedentary and you put on weight and then you stop playing sport, you age quicker, your chances of getting a nice girl always comes down as well. Um, it's a tough one. It really is. G'day, Mega. How you going, mate? I used to go out with the boys 4 nights a week. 4 nights a week. Nothing good happens after 12 o'clock at night. Nothing good happens after the first 10 beers. Yet I did it every day, 4 days a week, and then came back and did PT. Lucky I was in the military. Times were different. Being an adult before COVID was completely different to being an adult now. Okay. There was no phones when you went out. There was no mobile phones when I was going out in the 90s, and the 2000s up to 2010, etc. You could go directly up to people. Everything was about conversation. There was no texting. Yeah, the world was all about the cut of your jib, how you communicate, your confidence, your prowess, the way you dress, the way you carry yourself, the way your own friends and brothers look at you. Now it seems like a lot of people don't have any friends, let alone partners, which means the longevity of having a long-term relationship, family, children, happiness, a safety net seems like it's a thing of the past, and it's sad. Mega Penguin says, I used to spend far too much on partying. I bet I could have brought a house. Well, at least saved a house deposit. I agree. Me too, mate. Yep. And this is what he was talking about. He's 40 years old. He owns nothing. He chased women. He lived in the moment. And that's what men do. We live in the moment until we find something that gives us mission, task, and purpose. This is why I'm saying at the moment, if you're watching this, what I recommend is either join the army if you're young for a 4-year period so you know exactly who you are, and what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, that you can take criticism, that you can stand up for when you're wrong. You can have the friendships. You can respect authority. You can achieve things. You can travel. You can gauge what a good friend is, not just a retinue of people that just nod and agree with you. You know what a good friend is. You know what a bad friend is, and you earn their mateship. Take your family name into the future and give yourself something to be proud of. And you'll be able to tell in the way you walk. It's a good thing.
I spent more time crushing on church girls who didn't like me and hanging out at coffee shops and smoking cigarettes, drinking lattes and, going to hardcore shows. I did more of that than I did doing anything that would help me long term. I mean, at 23, I was playing ding dong ditch with my friends, like I was 13 again, thinking it was hilarious, which it was. But fun times. But I wasted so many hours just trying to get, validation from people who didn't care if I lived or died. At the end of the day, I thought my life was meaningful because it looked cool in photos, looked cool on MySpace. But, all I was doing was burning through the most valuable years of my life.
It doesn't look good for you, James, that you look like you haven't been out in the sun for years and you've got Fortnite on the TV. At least put it onto Socrates or, some sort of history YouTube channel in the background or something, but, at least he's being real. At least he's being real.
The years where I had the most energy, the most flexibility, and the most time to build something meaningful. Nobody told me I was wasting it. Nobody. And when the world sees you drifting, it doesn't intervene. it just keeps feeding you distraction after distraction and lie after lie while profiting off of your blindness and ignorance.
It's true.
And then fast forward into my late 20s, um, you know, then I got into a relationship that wrecked my life. She got pregnant and everything changed.
Ooh.
And I love my son. I would never undo that. But that relationship, it was a disaster.
Mm.
I did not know how to choose.
I bet James met his former partner around substance abuse, around alcohol, going out. She was meant to be a one-night stand. She turned into a landmine. You know, he's got a lovely son out of this, but now he's also got to do um, uh, dual parenting, hoping that she's also a positive role model for his son. You know, while probably any of his resources goes towards that previous relationship, and now if he has a new relationship, he won't have the resources to sustain that while also sustaining his previous relationship, which leaves him in purgatory. You know, it's a real thing, Tim.
Wisely at all. I confused chaos and passion and intensity with love because no one ever taught me the difference. I thought it was normal for things to be dramatic and unpredictable. I thought that meant we were meant to be or something. I don't know. But instead, I don't know what was going on, but instead I ended up in family court fighting for time with my own son, treated like an intruder and a criminal for wanting to be a father. And then in my 30s, you know, I mean, my 30s weren't the best years of my life. You know, you hear that a lot. Your 30s will be the best years of your life, 30s and 40s. 30s were a nightmare. I was broke. I was depressed. I was isolated, missing my son constantly, and dealing.
What did you say this, Tim? Hey, darling, how you doing? I can't really talk at the moment. I'm online, okay?
Okay, I couldn't talk before because I was at Layla and Hugo's house and
Ah.
her dad was on a work call and you're shouting into the phone, hey!
How much do you love your dad?
Oh my god, bye.
14 going on 40, team. Where are we? Guys, I'll tell you now, 100% of the time, the courts go in the favour of the lady, even if she's not a good one. If she wants them, she gets them. The other thing is, with men, you only get at max 2 bad relationships and you're pretty much wiped out for life. You know, you'll lose everything, team. Not necessarily because of the lass. I mean about starting again, etc. And because of today's times, affordability, all that sort of stuff, it can be very, very tough. You know, in the military, not so bad because you fall back with your buddies. You know, you're surrounded by people that have got advice on the subject and can tell you when you're with the wrong one. You should listen to your friends, whether you're a lady and you hear the guy's not good, listen to your friends. If you're around, unless she's protecting the fridge, if you're the guy, then make sure you listen to your mates. You might not want to, you might not want part of your intimacy to disappear because you're listening to them, but believe me, they could save your life. You know, once you've got a child in a broken relationship, it'll cost you everything for 20 years or more. Let us know, team, you know, if you can, just a thumbs down, I'd say. A thumbs down if you are actually lonely. It's a big thing to admit. It is.
With games and lies and schemes my ex would pull to destroy the bond between me and my son.
You're right, Jack.
I wasn't just dealing with grief. I was dealing with a system that didn't care if I disappeared. And yeah, a few times I, you know, in the midst of all that, tried to date again.
Dude, guys, I'll tell you one of the saddest things ever. The amount of people I've known from being at the School of Infantry that were not necessarily soldiers, but this has happened to soldiers as well, but guys to fly in, fly out at the mines. I've openly heard wives say, partners say, I don't care if he never comes back as long as the paycheck keeps coming. That is sad as hell. You know, as long as the resources come, the guy fails to mean anything. It's really sad. Noah says that is the most real thing I've ever heard. His mate is currently going through stuff like this, trying to fight to see his son. Absolutely. Jackie Brown, I reckon this bloke had it rough. Absolutely. Mega, Lighty, you know, I'm always here for a chat. Right. I'm always here for a chat. G'day, Alan. How you going? Love your name. My uncle that passed away, his name was Alan before I met him. You know, God bless you. You know, sorry to hear that, Mega and Lighty, but we need to address these things. Otherwise, we'll stay where we are. You know, if we feel bad about shit, we need to talk about it. Put it out in the open. It's important. You're important. Right? Yeah, and you've got to make yourself valuable in some kind of way, whether that's the Army, Army Reserve, SES, etc. You know, if not giving good deeds, helping with animals, talking to people in the street without being weird. Guys, we've got a guy who's not here tonight. It's his wife's birthday. And he was in his 40s when I started first talking to him. He joined the Army Reserve because he's also got a civilian business, right? And he's got kids going to a private school. And he joined the Army Reserve, and his life, I believe, has been so good. It completely reignited the testosterone, the mission, task, and purpose in his life at a critical time. And when you talk to that guy now, it is always positive. It's always competitive. It's always about friends. It's fantastic. And that was just by getting real friends, sitting in the rain with them, doing arduous activities for prolonged periods of time. And now the Aussie spirit, he's surrounded by it and has warmth in his heart, and he's got a positivity that you cannot explain. Take this bloke on a trip to Thailand, please, Kaz. Absolutely. Blokes like this, I'd love to have a section of them. And then we'll just watch them turn into the version of them they always were, but never got a chance to see. All right? I've got a bloke at the moment in Vietnam who's going through a horrible position. Horrible. I'm not going to say his name, but he's got a daughter who thinks she's trans. He's lost his teeth and he's got them, getting them replaced at the moment. He's in Vietnam, and it's cost him basically everything he's got. He's trying to sell a car that was once a dream that was more of a distraction for him, and he's in a broken relationship as well. You do have to keep moving, Mr. Buckaroony, don't we, mate? And Buckaroony, there is no one on this channel that knows more about this subject than Mr. Buckaroony. He's seen the people in jail. He's seen the people having their worst days when he was a cop. He saw great people with relationships that went to shit when he was a warrant officer in the army, and they would have come to him for advice as well. You know, there's no one that knows more than Mr. Buckaroony, and it is absolutely gut-wrenching to watch someone feel like there is nowhere they can go and life will never get better. But guess what? It can. You've just got to choose mobility. Are you pregnant, Simon? We've got the filthy Raffy here. Good to have you here, Simon. We've got a fully qualified Air Force pilot now, and he's flying his planes, and it's great. So I can't stay, team. Take it easy, everyone. Hey, Mega Penguin. It's all right, mate. It's okay. It was great to have you here tonight. I value your time too. All right.
Again, I finally started to see what I'd been blind to in my 20s. You know, I was no longer that 27-year-old stuck in a 500 days of summer mindset, falling for manic pixie dream girls, you know, just because they like the shins too. You know, now I saw the red flags clearly. Girls with baby rabies, daddy issues, manipulation, all of it. I could spot it instantly. I was like a bloodhound for that kind of thing. It's easy to detect now. That's the part that stings the most. Now I'm 40. I hate my job.
What do you do?
But it's not just that. I'm disillusioned by the world. Once you see how everything really works, how broken it all is, you cannot unsee it. Everything feels fake. The economy is a scam. Inflation is gutting families. People are more isolated than ever before. No one's honest. No one's fulfilled. And there's a deep apathy baked into everything now.
James, mate, we're talking to James now, that made this video. What you need is a team of 4 or 5 guys that you can go and have a coffee with while you're walking down by an esplanade, or go out, shoot some targets, blow the head off a mannequin with a shotgun, throwing rocks at bloody bottles, having a good time, learning how to slow cook some bloody meat. You need to get a bunch of guys that are similar to you, and then the conversation comes back to gags, playing tricks on each other, laughing, arguing, fighting over who's going to be shotgun in the car. Mate, all of his problems and his outlook at life will disappear, and it will become positive again. And the ladies will see the happiness in his face and his receding hairline, as soon as he's got a few buddies with him. Right? Your life changes. We're a herd animal. Believe me. In the military, one of the biggest problems you can ever have is you don't have enough seats in your car for the amount of friends that you've got rolling with you. It's a fantastic problem to have.
That's why I'm here. This isn't a
legal?
content hobby for me. This is me refusing to stay silent. This is me using what I have left to build something real, because the clock is ticking. And also, if I die before I can tell my son any of this, before he can know, I mean, he's almost 11, but I want my son to know that his dad didn't just give up, that I fought very hard and went through a lot, and that I bled in silence.
James, if you watch this video, feel free to reach out, and you can come and stay at my place in Australia. I'll pick you up from the airport. I live in Sydney, and I would pick you up and bring you over here for a month, right? And we'd get you rejuvenated, make you laugh, eat some buffet food, travel through Sydney, have a great time. Mate, you sound like you've got a great value system. You're 100% there for your son, and that's all we can do.
That I fought to stay in his life tooth and nail.
Hey, Robbie.
I fought to become something that he could be proud of, and I fought against a system that was way bigger than myself, that tried to break me. And so this channel, Dad Mode and Dark Mode, is part of that fight. It's my record. It's my time capsule.
I'll subscribe to you, buddy. Thank you for today. The Dad Mode in Dark Mode.
My legacy. It's my proof that I didn't just drift off into silence and was just passive. And I hope one day, when he's ready, he'll understand all of this. And so, if you're in your 20s right now and you're listening to this, stop thinking you've got unlimited time.
You don't?
Stop doing it. You don't have unlimited time. You think
Billy.
it's harmless to keep chasing women and wasting money and avoiding responsibility. But one day you'll wake up and you'll realize you've got no leverage. You've got no power, absolutely no clarity, and no way to get those years back. One day you will.
This is why I say, team, join the military, Army Reserve, regular Army. Go and get that, chase that legacy, that self-esteem that comes with elevating your family name, illuminating it, and being proud of what you achieve and not quitting. Also, you need to build up that sense of net worth that you actually do have a financial footprint for your child. You jump into a freezing, icy water to save them, then you can go without drinking 6 days a week. Never touch cocaine. Do not drink. 80% of women will never touch you if you do already. Don't do it. And have that money ready to go, invest it for life experiences, for compound interest, ETFs, all that sort of stuff, and give yourself something that gives you options in life. Don't stay static. Don't be flat-footed. You need to go to where the problems can be solved by making your life better. It's never going to come to you. Everyone I know that has done amazing things, they were the architect, the sea captain of their success. I've done plenty of shit wrong. I've got a lot of medical issues, but overall, I'm a pretty happy bastard. Robbie Wool, I'm in hospital again. Don't waste your life. Stop whinging. That's right. And you never know, as Rob, I'll give you a call. You never know when the option to travel is now off the table. Birdman says, Kaz, which battalion is the best? I would have always said the 2nd Battalion, which I served in for my whole career, which is amphibious now. At the moment, location-wise, I reckon it'd be 2 RAR or 1 RAR. 3 RAR is just too hot where they are. They're a mechanised battalion at the moment, but they're so far back within the brigade, 3 Brigade. It looks like an episode of MASH. It's so goddamn hot where they are. Dude, I'd say you can't go wrong. 1, 2 or 3 RAR. You've got 6 and 8, 9 down south at Brisbane, but it's like the Alamo, completely surrounded by civilians touching the fence with their homes. You never feel like you're in the army down there. And in Darwin, you're going to go absolute troppo, and unless you look like Chris Hemsworth, you're sharing the girls of Darwin with the American expeditionary forces that are there that have got a lot more chance of getting the girls than you do. Thank you, Simon. 2nd Battalion, apparently second to none. Well, we did come second to one when I did Dog Squad in 1994. Jackie Brown, wise words, ETFs are a military man's best mate. Jackie, I 100% wish everyone that joined the army would put their entire Kapuka nest egg straight away into an ETF, in the ASX. And then when you add that 20 years later, holy shit. Jackie, we're doing a video at the moment, which is about compound interest over 100 years, $500 a month, right? And what that turns into with breaking the cycle, compound interest, generational wealth, and you would be amazed what it turns into, 10 figures. That's what it turns into. But that's another video. Mr. Buccarini says, if you are in a rut, folks, take action to get out of it. You must help yourself. Don't expect help. And when I say it's be careful of having a bad relation with a female, also don't have a bad relationship with your mates. If your mates are bad for you, get the hell out of Dodge. You don't need them. We've got a guy at the moment who is an ex-RSM, and he is facing all sorts of troubles in his life. He's burnt every bridge that you could imagine, and it's heartbreaking. It really is. Noah, hoping to be first in my family to join the military service. I love that, Noah. I'm the first tradie in my family too, but doesn't feel fulfilling. Well, a tradie doesn't even really have mateship. That's the sad thing. It has the perception, but is this just eating a steak and drinking beer at a pub and barracking for a team of players that don't know you? Are they going to be there for you? No, they're not. Not necessarily. They're probably not. They go home to their missus. They go home to someone else's missus, or they're perpetually stuck in the poker machine, smoking and drinking and eating lifestyle, and that's how you wake up 50 and haven't achieved shit. Brocky, what if you wasted your life oversharing at DFR and there is no second chance? Brock, this is why I tell people, if you don't come to my channel and go to Patreon, go to the Black Legion, don't join as a free member team, You know, the hour I spend you is worth a cup of coffee a month. You know, come there, talk to me, and I will guide you through the entire assessment process. If you don't do that, I can't drag you to success. I'm sorry that happened to you there, Brocky, but I believe if you had been with me in the Black Legion, this problem wouldn't have happened, and I'm sorry for you, mate. What do you actually say? If you say anything about mental health, if you say anything about substance abuse, you can almost guarantee you won't be getting in, even if it was in the past. Klitz, that's it, Mr. Buckaroo. If no one comes saving you, then no one's stopping you either. Absolutely. That's a great point there, Klitz. Navy veteran, he's in Darwin. All I do in Darwin is gym and go fishing. Not much more to do here. Yep. You know, other than drinking, and that can be a mess up there, can't it? You know, Navy veteran actually looks after people that have drank too much and having their worst day. It'd be quite sad with your role there, Navy veteran, the fact that you actually get to see soldiers, airmen and seamen, that's a weird name for people, that have made mistakes with their career and then lost it all as well. Clit says, lots of laugh. Net nice to know Darwin hasn't changed since I lived there last. Yep. Mr. Buckaroony says he's passed his subject 5 for warrant officer, 2 failed marriages, and life experience, folks. Absolutely. Isn't at least 1 divorce a requirement for a warrant officer's course? I believe that's the case. And that's the thing with the military. You need to meet that right girl, you know, because normally if it is your calling to go to the military, you know, in your mind, the calling, you're married to the army. You can't give equal commitment to both. It's very hard to do.
You'll wake up and you will be 40.
Or
You will
55.
be stuck working a job that you hate with nothing to show for it except memories that don't even matter. That you constantly think about and it leaves you with no air in your lungs. This pain, you know it. You know what that pain is when you think about, you know, what once was.
That is dark. That is dark because, guys, I'm not pretending to know it all, but I accidentally got it right the whole way. I don't know what he's talking about because I went from school, very rough school in Newcastle, to join in the military after Army Reserve. Very rough life in the Army. It's not easy, man. You know, but every one of my boxes got ticked. There was ups, there was downs with females, you know, with operations, with experiences. But I couldn't think of anything better than the life I've had, regardless of how it is now with a lower butt disease, probably from teasing sailors. But I couldn't imagine what this guy is going through. Imagine the guy that goes, why would you join the army? You know, look at the pay. For starters, it's the highest paid army in the world. You know, and when you add the benefits on and what it gives you, the mateship, the friendship, the travel, the adventure, the illumination of your family name, the legacy after you get out, the fact that people go, my dad was in the army, my grandfather was in the army, I was an Egyptian citizen, you know, all this weird shit. You know, I've had all that. Imagine being an accountant, you've made heaps of money, but you've lost your hair, you've lost your mind, you've achieved nothing, you know, you don't get to see your family. Your skin is as white as a cricket bat. And then you look back when you're 58 on a nice house that feels like a museum and go, I didn't live my life at all. And I'm surrounded by other people just as geeky and I can't catch a fucking ball. Yep.
But yet every hour you waste now is a debt you're going to have to pay later. You should be building something. Skills, discipline, financial stability, wisdom, a backbone.
That's it.
And if you don't know where to start, I wrote something for you. It's called Dark Mode Protocol. You can find the link in my channel description. I'll leave it in the video description as well. And it's not inspirational fluff. It's not a self-help book. It's a survival guide for men who are sick of being lied to and want to start thinking clearly and acting with purpose. I'll go ahead and also where whatever it is, I'll leave the link on the screen too to go, so go read it, and subscribe if you haven't already and you're building something, and comment if this hits hard for you. Let me know your story, where you're at.
Thank you very much there, James. I've subscribed to your channel. I've liked. Where's his notifications? All. I want to see what you've got to say. Let's have a look at the comments quickly. Picture yourself a 67-year-old man who wishes to be 40 again. You are 67 years old of yourself who got a second chance to be 40 again. Let this reinvigorate your brother. Okay. I'm your age. I won't disagree with views, but honestly, turning 40 is a wake-up call to almost all of us, regardless of how successful you are. The guy who grinded his 20s, studied and working and putting down a payment on a house, wakes up at 40 and wants to run away and live free and regrets not living up to his younger days. Every choice demands the death of the path we didn't take. Absolutely. Let's have a look down here. There's a lot of negative shit about him having Fortnite on his screen. I'm 35 and I try not to waste my life, but I encountered so much bullshit I did anyway. Guy can impersonate Eminem as a side hustle. There we go. Life has no promises for any of us. Yep, life owes you nothing. Someone can be married with children and be absolutely miserable. I'd say that's at least half. The dude has faced his abyss and still standing. Kudos. Last one. If it always feels too late, no matter how old you are, you're looking back at a younger self, wishing you had done things that you could have done now. It's never too late. Well, luckily for me, the military has given me everything. It's given me everything. And I don't have regrets. Well, I do have regrets, but some of those regrets are things that I've done in the past. Okay? Previous partners, there was a couple I cheated on. Wish I'd never cheated in my life. I never recommend cheating. Too much substance abuse, being alcohol, never drugs. I regret that. I absolutely do. Not investing when I was younger, I absolutely regret that. Some of the nasty things I said to girls that I went to school with, I regret that. Right? But, my life has been absolutely magic. I've still got my mum and I've still got my dad. My daughter pretends to love me, but I do love her. I've been able to see the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s, and right up now, post-COVID. Life is changing, not for the best in most ways, but you do have to be the architect of your own success, right? Albo knows, yep, we saw Albo tried to leech onto the Islamic community, and now he's seen for himself that they don't like him. As a matter of fact, everyone at that mosque needs to go on the terror watch list. Check their hard drives. Even and all, g'day, Forethought. Electric God, that's a nice name. Hi, Kaz, I've successfully been accepted into Kapuka next month. Congratulations, my man. I've been watching your informative videos for months now, definitely giving me the confidence to believe in myself, so thank you. Excellent. No quitting. Don't let anyone else quit. Electric God, put down here at the bottom, how old are you, mate? So we know what age you are, that you've taken the reins back on your own life, so we know what's in store for you. Navy veteran, seen too many people lose their way because of alcohol. Yes. Don't have to be a monk and not drink, but have some self-control and remember the hard work you put into joining the ADF. Absolutely. And I'll say one thing to support Navy veterans' statement there. Almost every big mistake you will ever make in your life will be alcohol related. The biggest. And for some reason, no one forgives a man's mistakes. A girl can't give consent because she's been drinking. A man is guilty of everything. No excuse, no matter what he's done. So just be very well aware of that. And don't expect mercy, even from the military, with an alcohol-related incident. Yeah. When you go out, tell yourself, I'm only going to have 10 drinks tonight. Because nothing good happens after 10 drinks. That way, you can say it doesn't matter how much it costs for alcohol. If you're only going out one time a week or once a fortnight, that you grant yourself a beautiful meal, and 10 drinks, you're going to enjoy every one of them. Especially as you get closer to your 10th drink, you're going to go, this one has got to count. And then you come back with a goddamn fishbowl. Electric God Jack, looking forward to it, yeah. Mr. Buccaroony, I regret how much alcohol I drank in the army, way too much. Absolutely. Absolutely. Birdman, 2RR, second to none. I love all the battalions, to tell you the truth. But there's just some I prefer. And I love the fact that I was in 24RR, then 2RR. And I wish I could be there today. And I'll tell you something else. If Australian forces got called on to step up for whatever's happening across the world, I do intend on going and throwing my resume in and saying, how can you use me? I'm coming back, and I'd work for free if I had to, just on the military pension they've got me on now. I love Australia. We're girt by sea. It frustrates me, the leadership. It pisses me off, at times. But this is the best country in the world. Probably a dumb question, but which battalion usually gets to deploy first when there's a conflict overseas, or is it just a matter of luck? No, it's preparation. It's normally the 1st Battalion or the 2nd Battalion, but the roles have changed a bit. So could be 1st Battalion, it could be 3rd Battalion, could be 6. It depends on whether it's a littoral, whether it's around a maritime operation. We've drifted away from what used to be the best plan, and that was light infantry, which means today you could be naval, tomorrow you could be air mobile, the next day you could be mechanised, the next day you could be motorised, the next day you could be dismounted. You could be offensive, you could be defensive, but every battalion could take over any battalion at every given time in a relief in place. And you didn't need a piece of paper. You didn't need a title. We were the jack of all trades. And whenever we did exchange with other armies, they realised Australians were a different animal. They really did. Buccaroony, that Lakemba Mosque is a cesspit of hate against his country. Absolutely. And the guy that went mental there, Bucko, I'd like to think that he is now talking to some very serious people, because he voiced what that mosque thinks. He stood out. There should be a repercussion. Worked full time for my parents straight out of school. That's a great thing, Electric God. That ticks off things like finance, but what about living? What about life? What about the guy that looks into the mist and thinks, what's beyond the fog? Is there another land out there that needs to be explored? Our life is not about just working. It's about finding ourselves, putting our skates on. It's about seeing if our wings actually work when we jump out of the nest. Action Jack loves Stacey's mum. She's really got it going on. When I made that tonight, I laughed like a little bastard, but I wasn't sure if you thought that was just off the internet, but I made that for you guys. This guy loves your mum. He's with her right now, but it's not your dad. Guys, I want you to live your life. James is 40 and now he doesn't know how to rebuild his life. He spent his money, he's paying maintenance, he's paying alimony, he's doing anything to stay relevant in his son, who's 11 years old's life. And this is an open invitation. If he sees me, if he sees this video, reach out. I've listened to your cautionary tale, and you have somewhere here in Australia that you can bring your fantastic greenback dollars over here and get more for your bang, and I will pick you up from the airport and I will give you somewhere to stay for a month-long free holiday. And we'll make you happy as hell and give you a cricket bat to go home with and a rugby league ball that was given to me by Mr. Buccaroony. Brady says, Albo denied that what went on. He's unfit for the position. The Governor-General should dismiss him. This is the dismissal Australia has to have. Look, we've seen what's happening. You've got to believe them when they tell you that they don't like you. But from there, I don't wish any ill will on Mr. Albanese. But what I would say to him is he definitely needs to open his eyes, because the devil walks amongst us, and we see it daily, right? I don't understand why Islam is rushing to a Christian country other than to just overtake it. It's pretty obvious. The caption's at the bottom, and I believe within every single mosque there is a radical base that you need to be wary of. Hard times ahead. Guys and gals, take it easy. Make your life count. Restrict yourself of alcohol. Get a net worth. Build up a group of friends. Not your school friends. Go and forge your mateship, your friendships. Go and join the Army Reserve. Go and join the regular Army, Air Force or Navy. Do something that's going to make you uncomfortable, that tells you the truth, that tells you you're not perfect, but then gives you the scaffolding to navigate life and gives you a chance to be the best version of yourself, warts and all. That's what I'll say to you. And that was fantastic talking about James tonight, something a little bit different. Pauline could be sorting it out, Kaz. Enjoy your wise words. Yeah, thank you, Eric. And it was great to see Pauline. I don't expect her to be perfect. I don't. But I tell you what, she's bloody Australian. And that's enough for me. I will definitely put my hand on my heart, like right now. I am one nation all the way. Good night. See you, Al. See you later. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Support the channel. And if you need that one-on-one, if you feel like you're doing this mission alone, go to Patreon, go to the Black Legion, and I will talk to you on the phone in the future, the bat phone. See you later, team. Take it easy. And this guy loves your mum. Noah, the kettle. Thank you for the stream tonight, Kaz. Have a good rest of your night. And same goes to everyone else. Thank you very much there, Noah. You go and polish that kettle. Guys and gals, go and get hold of it. Mission, task, purpose, self-esteem. It'll lift itself. Get fit. Learn how to lift your own body weight, right? Because the modern woman ain't that light. She ain't heavy. She's my brother.